Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I meant to go fill up a cup of coffee before I started this video, and so now I'm going to have to just power through it without my coffee. That is not good. Now, I am back home, I am ready to roll, and I've been just it kind of gets overwhelming with all the news when you're gone for a little bit, but that's okay. We are good to go. I want to start with this. The Rothschild investment company adds to Grayscale Bitcoin holdings. Now they're showing this is from back in 2019. So if they were buying into Bitcoin back then, the article you're reading now means that they've probably made all of their money they wanted to make, and they're now investing in something else. So, and I don't know if you remember, but a long time ago we showed that the Rothschild investment company owned a large percentage of SBI holdings stock. And so they're indirectly invested in XRP as well. You can find that on Twitter. I should have pulled it up. But anyway, I just wanted to mention this because it's interesting. All right. Now, moving along. Okay. XRP Crypto Wolf. Before I go into this, I wanted to just explain to you, you're now seeing a lot of stuff go in motion, and you're seeing it with a lot of the moves that are being made in appointments and different things. But on a global scale, you are seeing this great reset that they've been talking about for a long time. You're seeing it go in motion. These people are at the World Economic Forum and the IMF and all. They seem like they are almost giddy about their great reset that is now seems to be in motion. So pay attention. Here it comes. Watch. XRP Crypto Wolf. U.S. Senate confirms Janet Yellen as U.S. Treasury Secretary. She inherits the U.S. Treasury as it considers a host of proposed crypto rules. Now, we know that she's talked bad about Bitcoin. We also know that Bitcoin was never the one. It's XRP and XLM. It's not Bitcoin. It never was going to be proof of work Bitcoin or proof of work Ethereum. That is all a ruse, in my opinion. Now, look at this from this Oracle, A-O-R-A-K-L. Here is a little video. I wanted to show you this clip right here. This is from George Gammon, 3620 or 3610. Here we go.
Is the IMF, Klaus, and Mr. Bigglesworth. And I think what you're going to see in 2021 and beyond are more and more negative PR campaigns and comments from the politicians, from maybe Janet Yellen, from the IMF, the World Economic Forum. They're going to make gold out to be a barbarous relic.
I want to make sure you understand something as we talk about this. You can use these different worldwide organizations. You can use them interchangeably. World Economic Forum, IMF, World Bank, United Nations. It's all the same thing. All those people are in the same freaking club. Watch what he says.
Relic that cannot be used, and Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency as something that is only used by villains, criminals, drug dealers, terrorists, and therefore it is unfit for public use. The only option is going to be a centralized approach. And I think it'll start with the central bank digital currencies, but then transition into a more global replacement for the Eurodollar system, which, like I said earlier, is this SDR network. So how does it work? Very similar to what we saw before with the dollar network. The IMF would issue these SDRs or SDR loans, which they're pretty much doing already. And the corporations would borrow in SDRs. They would transact back and forth from one another with SDRs. So the central bank's balance sheets, their assets would go from dollars, SDRs. The corporation, their assets, liabilities would also make the switch. while at the same time, the currencies would stay the same. I think each country's real economy would still transact in their local currency, but the local currency would switch from its current form to a central bank digital currency. So the IMF would be at the top controlling the entire global monetary system. And you know what Rothschild said about money? Give me control of the money, and I care not who writes the laws.
Okay, so let's take a look. Now, one of the things he said in there that you will begin to see all of these people, whether it's the Janet Yellens or the Christine Lagarde, who's with the European Central Bank. She was with the IMF. Listen to what she says. This was just, January 13th. She says exactly what he was saying.
It is a speculative. It's a speculative asset by any account. I mean, when you look at the most recent developments upward and now the most recent downward trend, it's for those who had assumed that it might turn into a currency. Terribly sorry, but this is an asset, and it's a highly speculative asset, which has conducted some funny business and some interesting and totally reprehensible money laundering activity. I think that there are criminal investigations that have taken place that I'm sure will continue to take place that demonstrate it very clearly. And there has to be regulations, and this has to be applied and agreed upon. It's a matter that needs to be agreed at a global level, because if there is an escape, that escape will be used. So I think it needs to be if anything, it shows that global cooperation, multilateral action is absolutely needed, whether it's initiated by the G7, moved into the G20 and then enlarged, but it's something that needs to be addressed. And FATF is clearly an organization that has expanded in that respect.
Okay. So they're coming for Bitcoin. He said it, and then she confirms it. That's exactly what the plan is. But let's talk about who's been working with the IMF and the World Economic Forum all this time. Many of you may not remember this little meeting back in November of 2017. Ripple hosts world central banks to explore next generation of payments. And at this meeting, they had, it said down here, the summit started with a presentation from the International Monetary Fund on fintech's potential to change market structure, opening new possibilities in payments. So anyway, all of the central banks were there. The IMF literally gave a presentation there. Now, this is another one that's always fascinated me. This is Jess Chang, who now works for the Federal Reserve Board. But what always fascinated me was that she worked for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, then went to Ripple, then goes to the IMF, and then back to the Federal Reserve Board. That's always fascinated me. Then there was this, Stellar CEO to be part of IMF panel on cross-border payments. Folks, it's always been XRP and XLM. Always. Write it down. You tell me. Ask your friends and family. I tell you to tell your friends and family stuff all the time. Ask your friends and family to show you where anybody, a representative of Bitcoin, whether it's Anthony Pompliano, Mike Novogratz, you name them, Tim Draper, have you seen any of them? Any of them at the IMF, at Davos, at anywhere having to do with any of these organizations that have to do with the global reset and changing the financial system forever? Has anybody that represents Bitcoin been to any of them? And the answer to that is no. The answer is no. Period. No, period. But then ask, has anyone that represents a company that's working on a use case for XRP or XLM been at any of these organizations, at any of these meetings? And it is chock full of people that represent Ripple and Stellar that have been in these meetings for the last few years. Period. And those are the core people in the fintech space that have been there. Now, remember, I tell you all the time on this channel about these people that disappear off of social media after they say a few things that sound like they know something. Tell me if you feel this way right now at all about XRP. Listen to this is Kendra Hill from Steemit, who disappeared off of Steemit a couple of years ago, I think. The media will use trickery to convince you that XRP is not worth investing in long term. Use your brain, not emotions, Then it goes 5 years from now, and this was a couple of years ago, I think. 5 years from now, it will be the upper class that is in possession of almost the entire supply of XRP. It is not meant for the lower class. However, at this moment in time, someone from the lower class can hold XRP, allowing them to move up in the world. I call it the token of freedom. So let me ask you a question out there, folks. You know, everybody has seen this SEC lawsuit, and everybody's out there. They're scared. Ooh, should we still hold it, even though we're not going to be able to buy and sell it on these exchanges? Have you not just witnessed the shutting down of retail to get a hold of XRP, the slow shutdown of being able to get XRP? So the question is, while the retail is not able to get it, who is able to get it? Because some people are able to get it around the world. You have to ask yourself the question, was this the plan all along? Was retail needed to test the network? That's what I believe. I believe that, you know, I've had people ask me what my channel's about. I believe that my channel has always been about talking about something that we have access to, maybe for a short period of time, and the window quite possibly just closed. Is that possible? Well, here's what else Kendra Hill said. Ripple is said to be a cross-border payment provider. With the use of XRP, it will be for a short period of time. The world will not need a cross-border payment provider when we are using the lumens. Stellar lumens will become the world currency, while XRP becomes a store of value. The lumen is digital silver and XRP is digital gold. The purpose of XRP is to be used in the derivatives market while also acting as a store of value. XRP is not and was never intended to be a currency, nor was it created to be used specifically for cross-border payments. When Codius is released, and you could say that Spark is what Codius was. When Codius is released, we will see its true purpose unveiled. And remember, Spark is called unlocking value. True purpose unveiled. Ripple and Stellar are the keys to the new world financial system, which will be ushered in as the old system collapses. Perfect timing. What do you think we're all looking at? And then there's this, folks. This is BlackRock CEO Larry Fink. You can literally watch as the players in this game, it's like they're being paraded out to do their part to sell this new dream. This is Larry Fink. He's talking about climate change and how it relates, which is something I've never really been able to get my mind around. This why are all these people always talking about climate change and inclusiveness and all these different things when, you know, maybe in a stretch they have something to do with finance, but not really. What are we talking about? Why are they always talking about climate change having to do with money? What does that have to do? Well,
that's why I think about whether he was surprised by the emphasis that corporate American investors have put on climate over the last year. Those examples including Microsoft, Salesforce, and Delta during what has been a pandemic and, to some degree, even a financial crisis.
More and more people do understand that climate risk is investment risk. And as more investors understand that, and I wrote this in my last year's letter, when finance really understands a problem, we move that, we take that future problem and bring it forward. And that's what we saw in 2020 and what we're seeing now. The flows even in January in sustainability funds are growing, not shrinking. Right. And this is going.
Okay, so I wanted to show you this climate, just a real focus on climate. And I've always believed that one of the reasons that the World Economic Forum and these people that are talking global reset, the reason they focus on climate, I believe that when the time comes, that's going to be one of their mega horns that they're blowing against Bitcoin and proof of work is how awful it is for climate. I don't think for certain things are coincidences. Here's another thing that's a coincidence. Larry Fink of BlackRock is on. Well, he just happens to be one of the people that is in charge of the World Economic Forum. He is on the board of trustees at the World Economic Forum. And then there's this. We've seen Ripple's been talking about sustainability. These words matter, folks. Spend some time on the World Economic Forum's website. See how many times you see them talk about climate and talk about sustainability and carbon net zero. All of this talk, this same exact language is all over the IMF's website, all over the World Economic Forum's website. There are no coincidences. I'm going to stop the video here because I have a lot more and I don't want to make a video too long. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that we were very early. And it's quite possible that those of us that have been here for the last couple of years were actually retail guinea pigs for a network that needed to be tested. It's quite possible that XRP won't always be available to retail. Thanks for listening.